calling the plays. It's almost like he's second-guessing himself and not getting that play until 14, 15 seconds into the play clock. And by that time, after Drew calls the adjustments, calls the O-lines play, calls the wide receiver groupings, there's only like 5 or 6 seconds left on the play clock, leaving almost no room for audibles. And we get caught with delay of games. We got caught with a delay of game after a timeout Sunday, and that's just it infuriated me. Yeah, I was wondering how long a Les Miles reference was going to take to get into tonight's segment. But, yeah, I mean, it's one of those mind-blowing things. And usually, even with some bad time clock management, you still see Peyton win the time of possession issue, but not this game. And I think that's what played such a pivotal role. I mean, there's too many three and outs we went to. There's too many times we relied on the pass to get short first downs, short, second downs. And at that point, you can't run on third down on like a 3rd and 8. You just can't. I mean, if you will, you might as well go ahead and punt the ball. We don't have the Dallas offensive line. We don't have, a Hall of Fame running back. At least we haven't had one that's had the chance to show himself as a Hall of Fame running back, or will under Sean Payton. Man, but I'm kind of lost now. I am kind of encouraged, like you said. There are some good things to take a look at, but offensively, it's like we took not 2 steps back, 10 steps back. Mm-hmm. I mean, even when we had the 3-headed monster back in the Reggie Bush and Thomas and Hamilton days, they were getting more carries than this. I mean, how can we expect success from anybody? I mean, can we really expect Drew Brees to throw 3 touchdowns and 300 yards if he only threw 20 times in a game? It's just not fair to the players. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not just that. When they were at their best, they were balanced. I mean, because I love Drew. He's the best quarterback New Orleans has ever seen, and in some people's opinions, he's the best quarterback the NFC has ever seen. And the only ones that really ever get thrown up there more often by people who seriously study the game are like Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, those kind of guys. And just to have your quarterback's name mentioned in that area is phenomenal. And yet, and you've said it before, it's like Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton have wasted 5 years of Drew Brees' prime because of things like this, little losses that occur. I mean, imagine if the Saints were a playoff team for 4 or 5 years in a row. Don't you think we would have started seeing more things like discounts that free agents give teams because they want to win the Super Bowl? We just saw D'Angelo Williams say from the Steelers that he doesn't care what he has to do. He'll carry helmets. He'll carry and give out water. He'll run the ball, catch the ball, block if it means he gets a Super Bowl. I mean, I realize that's a former Panther, so we might not have wanted him, but still, What if we had stuck to the mold that was working, made minor adjustments as the years went on, much like a Bill Belichick does in New England every year, instead of this massive fluctuation of trying to get too cute with one thing and then it fails, and then we completely change our entire play style to something else and it fails? Why can't we just play football? Oh, great. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll say what they do have right now is a phenomenal young wide receiver core who has shown themselves to be, so far this year, as, I mean, statistically, one of the better groups in the NFL, bar none. There's really no argument for it. I mean, you have to put up groups like Beckham, Shepard, and Cruz, up against them in terms of a better group. I mean, they're doing outstanding. I mean, Mark Ingram, we know, is a Pro Bowl caliber running back. Andres Pete and Taron Armstead and Unger, that left side of the line right now is looking very solid with, occasional, complete lapses in judgment, it seems. But still, the line is starting to look it definitely looks much better than we thought it would going through preseason. I don't think there's a single person in Saints radio, podcasts, blogs, official writers who saw this line being this solid through 2 games. So the core is there. I mean, there's definitely potential to win. We just got to win. Yeah. Yeah, we mentioned Coby Fleener, and everybody here is, of course, a huge fan of Coby Fleener. Let me throw out some statistics. I'm going to name a person and their stats, and we're going to play guess who has this many receptions and yards. So, this player has 9 targets and 5 receptions for 31 yards. Can you name who it is? It's not Fleener. We'll see if you can name him. No, 9 targets, 5 receptions, 31 yards. Nope, Thomas is actually doing much better than that. I'll get to him. That's Travaris Cadet, the Spiller replacement. Okay, let's move on to the next one, though, just because we want to show some examples. Everybody's favorite player. 4 targets, 2 receptions, and missed 2 acrobatic catches this past Sunday. Brandon Coleman, he does have a solid 15 yards and a 50% catch rate, though. Let's go to one of my favorite and most unappreciated players out of the backfield. 6 targets, 6 receptions, 46 yards. Mark Ingram. Let's go to a receiver that you mentioned. I just gave you the answer, but 11 targets, 10 receptions, and over 100 yards as a rookie. All right, so I've given you a rookie wide receiver, a third year now wide receiver, and 2 running backs who all have a better catch to target ratio. I'm going to go ahead and throw in a little spoiler here. Literally every other Saints player who has caught a football or been on the field as a receiver has a better pass to catch ratio than the one and only Coby Fleener, who has 3 receptions on, get this, 12 targets for 35 yards. For every 4 targets, he catches 1 football. That is unacceptable. Oh, not just key. He only cost a couple of million less than Jimmy Graham, who was an all-pro. Mm-hmm. And while I can see that happen, and the thing that frustrates me, I'm going back to Fleener. I understand maybe you don't have the playbook yet, though. To me, you're in the NFL. You should have the playbook. It's the fact that you're getting thrown the ball that many times, and the third string running back is doing better than you. The fifth string wide receiver is doing better than you. That is unacceptable. He's got to get his head into the game because that amount of targets is actually the third most on the team. He's got more targets than Michael Thomas. He's got more targets than a Brandon Coleman or an Ingram out of the backfield. The only people with more targets are Cooks and Snead. So if you're getting the third most targets but have the lowest catch to target ratio, you've got a bullseye on your back to me. And hopefully Sean Payton and the coaching staff feel the same way because after 2 games, they look at stuff like this. Now, we do know that Sean usually waits that 4-game streak. They go the whole quarters thing. 4 games, but still, I mean, you've got to be looking at that now saying this just isn't working. It's either got to get fixed or it's got to be replaced. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's hard for me to find words on Fleener because I have hope, but the thing that made me lose all confidence in Fleener was the one route that the tight end position has done so well, no matter who is running it. I mean, Shockey could run it, Jimmy Graham could run it, Ben Watson could run it, Josh Hill ran it. Kobe Fleener, and this is what Coach Gruden would call it when he would host our game. Some people hate him. I love it. He makes me laugh every time. He called it the slow-go seam. And what this route is you have a split-end receiver on the left side who's going to do a slant and go to the outside. So he's going to slant in for about 5 yards and then head towards the pylon. And then Drew Brees is going to fake that way to pull the safety to the left side of the field. All the tight end has to do is run straight up the seam as fast as he can and turn his head around after about 15 yards and catch a touchdown. It worked numerous times for Jimmy Graham. It worked numerous times for Ben Watson, Josh Hill, and Jeremy Shockey. Kobe Fleener Sunday slowed down in his route, forcing Drew Brees to overthrow the ball, and he missed an easy touchdown. To me, that is the one big route for the tight end in the New Orleans Saints offense, as in this is the route. This is the route we bring you in to run, and he missed it. And at that point, I started to lose my hope in Kobe Fleener. Yep. He's not near as fast or as athletic as a Kobe Fleener is. No offense to Dave Thomas out there, but come on. Mm-hmm.